watching lots of people, my brother and everybody, and also just talking to them. You know, my brother and I always talk to each other and my sisters and everybody. Whenever some new script comes in the house or some new role, it's always like on the family's mind for the day, and we all sort of talk about it and go through it, and it is a big help.
Who do I look like?
Little Ricky Schroeder, I think.
Yeah, Ricky Schroeder.
Through this one. Then we can.
Young River Phoenix.
Rob Reiner is casting it. Is directing the picture, so it's casting, and we're there. And I know that River Phoenix is in auditioning, and I'm waiting, and I've got that audition kind of jitters, waiting to go in, and he's in there for a long time. And finally, he comes out, and there are tears streaming down his face, and he's still kind of heaving and sobbing from this emotional scene that he had done. Clearly nailed his audition, and we give each other a kind of actor hug, and well, good luck. And he said, "Yeah, man, thank you so much."
And then you went in.
Yeah, and then I go in, and Rob Reiner's in there with his sunglasses on in this dark room. Everyone's sitting back there going, "Go ahead, Sean."
Yeah, River, was my first scene partner. I did my first movie with River when I was 14. And I remember my first day of shooting. Back then, they really had to use a lot more light. And I can't believe I sound so old back then. But here it is. It's true. They really did use a lot more light. And I couldn't stop crying. My eyes were just watering and watering. And I remember I really wanted to be an actor. And I thought, I'm not going to be able to do this. But after a couple days, I got it. River was a serious young artist even at 14. He already knew more than I did. He'd done it before, and we're doing this movie about kids building their own spaceship, and he's trying to talk about what's in his character's pockets, and you kind of knew right away that he was special.
Did you and River Phoenix have a band at the same time?
No, I think he was playing.
He was before, right? Yeah. He was from Alcazadic.
Yeah.
But did you have fun with that? I also want to talk about this thing that you did out in L.A. with James Franco. It's a very cool thing. I'm a giant fan of James's. Of James's as well, but a really giant fan of River Phoenix.
Of River, okay. Well,
he was the greatest teacher, but I was a bad student because I'll tell you why. Because at the time I was really into I wanted to be River Phoenix or James Dean. I was really into these guys. I think he stole this look from my man River Phoenix in Explorers. Did you see it? That's my thing. Look at that. Do you remember Explorers?
I love that movie.
That's cool. That was my blue steel look. That's what it was. Yeah, I completely.
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
I don't know why I was trying to be River Phoenix. I don't know what I was trying to do.
What I clearly remember about him is that he was this just raw, emotional, open wound all the time. He felt everything. And it's what made him such a wonderful, wonderful actor.
You didn't keep in touch close at that?
We drifted apart, right around, I guess it was right around the time I was 15, 16, and River was 2 years older than me. He was clearly in a lot of pain. And was
Were you shocked then when what happened to him, or not? Probably not.
I wasn't shocked. I was...
sad.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to come up with the exact word. It wasn't shocking. It was like, please don't let this be true.
There's a sad memory for me just because I liked River Phoenix so much, and he passed at such an early age.
Yeah.
And he was one of those wonderful young actors. He couldn't have been more than 13 or 14 at the time. And he was the one that would call you in your room every night and go, "Do you mind running over this lines with me for the scene?" And he loved it so much, and you could just see that he was going to be a really special actor, and he was. And it was just, every time I think about the film, I get very sad about just not having him around.
I got off stage and went out the door, and the paramedics were working on this young man, and I didn't know at the time that it was River.
River Phoenix had overdosed on drugs and died before reaching the hospital. A stunned Johnny shut down the club for 2 weeks and allowed River's grieving fans to set up a makeshift shrine outside. Depp was saddened by the senseless death and enraged by the sensationalized media coverage that surrounded it.
The media wouldn't let not only River rest, but they wouldn't let his family rest.
There's a song on the record called Transcending, which Anthony and I wrote the lyrics for, which is about River Phoenix, and I was very, very close to him. River is the kindest person I've ever known in my life. I love him so much. I feel like crying. River Phoenix was a good friend of mine. He was someone who I will always hold very close to my heart. He was someone that understood a lot of things about me that no one else has ever understood about me. He was a very insightful, intelligent, probably the kindest person I ever met in my life. And he also had a lot of problems, you know, and because of that, I don't know, I can't really say exactly why. He made some bad mistakes and he died, you know, and everybody makes mistakes, you know, it's just a shame when they happen to be fatal. But that's actually not really what the song is about at all. It's not really what I think about with River. What I think about with River is just how fortunate I was to be his friend and how much his friendship meant to me and how many great times we had together.
Rocker.
Rock and roll.
Rocking chair syndrome.
Okay, a rocking chair.
Dump truck driving down a road, loses brakes, goes off the cliff. Manic woman tripping on the umbrella.
When I was 15 or 16, my brother River came home from work and he had a VHS copy of a movie called Raging Bull. And he sat me down and made me watch it. And the next day he woke me up and he made me watch it again. And he said, "You're gonna start acting again. This is what you're gonna do." And he didn't ask me, he just told me. And I am indebted to him for that because acting has given me such an incredible life.
I know that you gave a really beautiful, touching speech in Toronto. We were there and you spoke about your brother River. How did his advice kind of impact your career in terms of, how did it affect you in the decisions and everything you've made in your career?
First of all, I had somebody write that, I farmed that out to somebody online.
Really?
Yeah, there's a great place called emotionalpersonalspeeches.com. And you just sent
I believed
like
you for
a
1
couple,
second. So you're good, you're really good.
And
Give
there
him
was
the
a
Oscar.
teleprompter, and I read it, and that was that.
I don't believe you.
Yeah, I think it was a period in my life. I started acting when I was very young, yeah. And as I became a teenager, I wasn't interested in the kind of roles that were available to teenagers at that time, or maybe available to me. Maybe they were available to other actors, and they just weren't coming my way. And so I had just grown kind of disinterested in it, and I think that he just gave me a lot of confidence, and was just insistent that it was something that I was going to do, and it was hard to deny it because he seemed so certain, and yeah, I think it just gave me the confidence.
Back when I was growing up, back in the 1980s, 1990s. River Phoenix was the person who was a household name. And River Phoenix was really the first member of the family to jump into show business successfully. He got cast in a movie called Stand By Me. He jumped out of the screen, I think, for a lot of people. One of the things I learned in doing this is just how big an influence River Phoenix was on Joaquin. River Phoenix comes back after shooting some film and sits him down and is like, "You're going to be a more successful actor than I am. You're going to be better known than I am."
You had said that for years you found it difficult to say your brother's name or to talk about it, and I really identify. My mom and my sisters were the ones that really kept his memory alive, and kind of the willingness to talk about it. Rain has this beautiful lyric in her song,
In my mind, I still see your light. I keep it alive.
Yes.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Rain Phoenix just released an album called River, and it's inspired by River Phoenix, her brother. Obviously, it's very personal. Many of the songs are inspired by River Phoenix. And
If you have seen a lot of the work that he did, I still feel like it's by far his greatest role. And I'm wondering, I mean, what is it like to look at that now? And I mean, he's kind of an enigma now because we lost him so young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was already like just this amazing actor before he did this. But I think with this film, he was, he was able to have an effect on what the film was becoming. And I think that, in the case of other times I've worked with actors as well, it's very exciting because they're actually part of it. And I think that might have just kept him excited and every day when he came in. And so he could, do his best work. And I think it's because he was part of it, part of the decision process. He was sort of like, as a person, sort of like a Kennedy or something. He would get in the middle of whatever the problem was. If he saw some troubles, he would get involved in the middle of it and try to negotiate or try and help the situation.
I remember one night he said to me, Hans, we're going now to the real hustlers. And I put sunglasses on so they wouldn't recognize me. And I give you a hint who you pick out. And we go to Jake's, it was a very elegant restaurant bar in Portland. And you interview the boy. And I want to listen. I said, okay. So I went there, and then River said, this one. So we took him, and then I said to the boy, I don't want to have sex. Just I pay you, just let's talk a little bit. And then River was sitting in the corner with his sunglasses and his beautiful hair and like that. And just listening, actually, I was interviewing the boy, and of course, I had experience, so it wasn't difficult for me to ask what was the worst he ever had to do or things like that. And River needed it for his performance. He needed it to know about this, and I think that somebody goes that far. For me, it was amazing, and it's like so he was so much into this part to not make a mistake, and he really wanted to know and everything. I think I was really very sad when I heard on the news that he died so young, but he was one of the biggest talent I have in that age group I have worked with.
I got this script from Gus Van Sant, very bold script, very refreshing, moving, touching, funny. River was like, let's do this. And I was, let's do this. Well, I can't talk about My Own Private Idaho without talking about River. Extraordinary person, extraordinary, original, great heart, great mind, great spirit. We're in Italy, and we're shooting this scene where Mike and I are out in Italy with the girl, and it was on this farm. It was a sheep farm. There was like sheep. We're hanging out in between takes. I'm hanging out with River. We're just watching the sheep play and, jumping around the hay and everything like that. We're taking a walk back and to the house. We come by, and there's these two sheep hanging with their blood coming out. The gentleman slit the sheep and then pulled its skin off. But when it got to the head, he had to give it this tug. And he pulled it off, and then River just kind of like, he's standing there and he turns to me, he's like, the sweater's tight. And so to get the chance to play with him, to be a partner with him in this world that Gus Van put together, just really a great togetherness, a great energy, a great exploration, a great people saying yes, and at the core of this, center of this was River.